The climbs for charity are fantastic, but they are brutal. They're not simple. So it's interesting. He reads a book. It was called Travels by Michael Crichton, and he decided that he wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and he decided he wanted to do it to help. I never climbed the mountain before that, so that's kind of funny, right? So it's not like I'm a mountain climber, my son just climbing mountains. He got me climbing mountains, so I got him into this, mission work, and he got me into, doing mountain climbing.
Dr. Andrew Jacono, a plastic surgeon from Great Neck, New York, started taking his son on medical missions for facial reconstructions to South America and the Far East. AJ caught the bug and has found his own ways to give back through his foundation, Thai Children, which stands for Through Healing All Indigent Children. He has sponsored his own missions for his dad from proceeds he has collected from their mountain climbs to places like Kilimanjaro, Pichincha in Ecuador, and Mount Elbrus in Russia. The first one was when he was 14 years old.
That was to Bangkok, Thailand. That was in 2010, February. It was awesome. I had a great time. It was eye-opening experience. A lot of very interesting cases and patients that I met, and a lot of interesting surgeries, especially the cleft surgery. It's really phenomenal when you could put it into grand perspective. The before and after results are absolutely amazing.
Overall, with our climbs, we've probably generated about $50,000 to $60,000, and that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a kid to raise. Obviously, it's not so easy for children to do that. But what's more important is that money goes a long way. You can do a lot of children's surgeries in these countries for that money. Say that it costs, with resources, $200, because we all donate our time, right? So the surgeons aren't getting paid, the anesthesiologists aren't getting paid. All we need to do is pay for the materials that we need to do the surgery. And we can do it for about $200. So if you think about it, you could treat, 300 kids with that money. It's a lot of kids. So it's really impactful. We go to missions specifically to areas that have high prevalence of certain types of birth defects. So we go to South America a lot, and in South America there are pockets or areas where, whether probably for genetic reasons or environmental reasons, a lot of children are born with cleft lip and palate deformity, where they have a big gap in their lip into their nose.
Dr. Jacono also does ear reconstructions.
Kids are born without ears. It's called microtia. So some children are born literally without both or one of their ears. Which is a big cosmetic thing, because if you're a kid and you have no ear, you don't want to wear your hair. So we see young boys with long hair trying to cover up the fact that they don't have ears, because people in their culture know that if you're born without an ear, that there's something wrong. So they get ostracized. And over there, they think that your family's cursed, or that there's something that's not right with you, like it's almost like you have a disease and you shouldn't interact with you or your family. So it really becomes a big problem for these kids and for their parents. I did a young boy's ear, and I made him a new ear from his rib. We take the rib cartilage out of the body and we shape it and sculpt it, we put it back in. So we're basically making an ear from another part of the body. And I remember the father coming up to me afterwards. He says, I'm so happy that we finally got this taken care of for him. He said, because I had my ear done about 15 years ago. You could feel it, that he knew what it was like to be his son, because he grew up with it and he wasn't able to get it fixed until he was already an adult. So he went through a lot of ridicule, and he went through all the pain of living that way. A lot of these people, they don't live around the corner. They travel on a donkey for 4 days, in horrible weather conditions. They rough it.
And once there, they sometimes wait for many hours before seeing a doctor for analysis.
There was a child that was born with a very sort of unusual cleft deformity. It's called a Tessier 7 deformity. It's where there's no formation of the side of the face from the corner of the mouth to the ear. So there's this big open area from the side of the face. And it's very hard for the children to eat. So it's not a more typical case, but what stuck with me was not only the rarity of the surgery, because it's not commonly done because of the fact that it's such an uncommon occurrence, but it made such a huge difference, because this child, more than any other deformity, just could not eat, could not function. And they don't have all the devices and resources that we have here. So the child, even though she was about a year old, she looked like she was a 2-month-old. So we did the surgery for her. Everything went very, very well. And when I saw her the following year, it was like unbelievable, how much the child had grown and how functional she was. When I brought that child to the mother was in just complete disbelief.
My dad's a very interesting guy. I love him. He's fantastic. He's very great sense of humor. He's very driven, very focused, and his results are great. I've seen all of his results. You know, with him on the missions, he's serious, but at the same time, he's relaxed enough to, you know, be open to questions that I may have. And even on the climbs, it's a similar thing. You know, climbing is a serious undertaking, and, you know, things can go wrong if not done correctly. So he's serious on one hand, but at the other hand, he's relaxed with it too. And he's actually a little bit more goofy on the climbs because we have to be in a good mindset and good spirit, you know, to be able to go up, be mentally prepared for that.
Hey, good job, man.
I'd always go to the recovery rooms, and I'd, you know, help the patients, you know, in their process of healing. I'd try to comfort them as much as possible whenever they needed it. I always love to see people, you know, happy with the new results of the surgeries, because they don't know what it's like to, you know, to be able to breathe normally, or to eat normally, or to drink normally. And when they're able to do such things, something that we take for granted every day, it's amazing.
And one of the things that I think was so wonderful for me was being able to open his eyes up to see the way really the rest of the world functions. You know, most governments don't care about their people. They don't care about the babies and the children that are born there. There aren't services for health care. People struggle, you know, just to survive. And being able to see that and help people not only makes you feel great, but it also makes you feel, you know, lucky and gracious about the things that you do have. So opening his eyes to a whole different world has been fantastic. And then finally, you know, being able to work side by side with him and see the joy in his eyes when he knows that he's helped a child, or, you know, when he helps a mother and, you know, consoles her while she's in surgery. You know, these are things that really tug at your heartstrings, you know, and that's the reason why I love to do it. But my son's been sort of bitten by the bug, so it's been watching him develop through it has been amazing. And the interesting thing is, he doesn't want to be a doctor. You know, he's a humanitarian, but he doesn't necessarily want to do surgery, even though he's watched surgery and he's been involved with it and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do surgery to still do good things. You know, and a lot of people who go on these trips are not surgeons, they're not anesthesiologists or doctors. They're support staff that help work with patients, work with children, work with their families. So there's lots of different ways to give back.
Dr. Jacono found his own unique way to give back to the world through his facial reconstruction work in underdeveloped countries, bringing new hopes and new lives to hundreds of deformed children.
Beautiful.
And his son AJ, with his sponsored mountain climbs, has found his way of giving back too.
Whatever you can do to help, I think people need to do that, so that way we can not only make conditions better for people we're helping, but for the entire world. Because, you know, one piece of help, or one piece of advice, or one mission, let's say, can change the world.
Here we are summoning Chincha.